Thank you for putting me on the agenda. However, the original posting stated it was going to be 6 p.m. I understand that was a typo. I didn't realize until I walked in this morning that the time was changed to 9 a.m. Had I not shown up at 9 o'clock this morning, I feel I should have been notified of the time change, even though it was an error.
You would have been. We tried to call your home and I don't know, you must have been already left this morning, but you would have been notified somehow or another. I promise you, you would have been.
Right, I appreciate that, but trying to notify me this morning doesn't give me a whole heck of a lot of time. But that's okay. I'll not go. It's fine.
I didn't know it until I walked in here.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, I should have been contacted yesterday, but thank you. Thank you anyway. And thank you for allowing me to speak. First of all, a lot of the concerns that I wanted to discuss were expressed by Mrs. Kirkwood and also by Mr. Moyer and some of the other people that spoke during our entitled 5 minutes of public comment. The one issue that I would like to focus on that I feel is really, really important to the county residents as well as to our school children, and that is for the county commission to pay for additional water testing, because some of the things that they test for right now do not reflect the potential pollutants from the oil and gas activity that is going on in this county. One of them are the radioactive things. I mean, that test is incredibly expensive, and I believe the water plant only does it once every 6 years. Another one is the VTEX chemicals, which they do not include. They do test for the VOX, the volatile organic chemicals, once per year. They only test for arsenic once a year. Arsenic, as far as our children are concerned, is incredibly, incredibly crucial because it builds up in their system. It's not something you can taste, smell, or have any kind of an effect, or be able to tell you're doing it. The other thing I noticed in the list that Ralph gave me at the last county commission meeting, which someone, I guess, from the water plant filled in on how often that they test, some of the tests just are not sufficient for what our county is going through right now. In talking to Mr. Kaufman, I believe there's something like 1,169 students. He thought possibly 1,175 students are enrolled in the 3 schools and the pre-K program at Smithburg. Okay? Also, in talking to the folks at the water board, I was amazed to hear that close to 4,000 people are serviced by the water treatment plant. Okay? I mean, what the town of West Union, because we always, in my mind, I always thought it was just the town of West Union, but it's not. You have the prison population, which is 700. It's the kids and other people in the community that might have compromised immune systems that are the most susceptible by this. So I really feel, and I will be more than happy to come up with a list of things that should be checked on a more frequent basis. And I ask you, as county commissioners who have the best interests of our county at hand, to allocate some funding for running some of these tests on a more frequent basis. So I would ask if you can possibly put it on as one of your agenda items. I will do my work and present you with the information. I'm trying to get some recommendations from Duke University on what should be tested for and on what frequency for surface, that it's surface water, not groundwater. That's a whole other issue. But I want to have some assurance from the 3 of you that you will take this seriously.
I'm taking it seriously. My question to you is the town of West Union willing to do this, or do we have to hire somebody else?
Well, actually, if you hire anybody else, if it's certified, recognized lab, those people are going to want to come in and do it themselves, okay? Because that's the chain of custody routine. So it won't place a burden on the town of West Union or the people that are working at the water plant. whatever lab you might potentially decide to use. I know that Downstream Strategies out of Morgantown has done a lot of work on this. They will come and take the samples themselves, and then the sample results become the property of the county commission. So if there are issues, etc., you know, I just feel that it's something we need to do. We have had spills downstream from the water plant that have been related to oil and gas. The last time when we had our, quote, public meeting with the representative from the Mark West plant, Rob McHale, questions were asked as to whether or not they do any testing on Buckeye Creek. And Mr. McHale at that time didn't feel that it was necessary. Well, you know, hello. The magnitude of what they're doing there has the potential of affecting Buckeye Creek, which runs into Middle Island, you know, is part of the Middle Island routine. They've already had, you know, the one Antero well that was plugged. We've already had recorded spill incidences in that general location. So, and then everything that's going on 18 South and, you know, other regions. So I feel that this is some positive action that the commission can take to protect the integrity of the water supply for our community.
Do you have any idea of the cost?
It depends on what you test for. When I talked to Joe Thorpe at the last county commission meeting, I mean, he told me the cost, like on the radionuclides, that cost is prohibitive. It's something like $5,000 or $6,000. Okay, some of the other tests, and that's why I'm saying I'm going to try to develop a list, try to get an estimate of cost. I know that some of the testing that Duke University has done in our community for free for area residents, some of the testing they've done probably runs, depending on what they're testing for, you're probably looking at anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 or more. Okay?
Ours was
4,000? Okay, so, but if some of these chemicals exist in our water supply, if they are not picked up, you know, they can just magnify. And some of them, like heavy metals and stuff like that, that stuff will settle in the creek bank, and when you have turbulence, some of that does come up, okay? But like I said, I have real serious concerns about this.
How often are you suggesting that?
Well, that's what I'm in the process of doing is trying to gather the information as to what frequency stuff needs to be done. I had sent information to Ralph, I think prior to the last county commission meeting, where Penn State, Pennsylvania DEP, New York State, and some of these other areas had a specific frequency of how often tests needed to be done that was specifically related to oil and gas. In looking at their recommendations and looking at what Joe Thorpe or someone from the water plant issued, it's pretty obvious that what's happening here is deficient. And it's like lead. Here, they only test once every 3 years. Some of these tests, like you can get very specific, which ends up costing less money if they're doing it for one specific thing. But like I said, I just wanted to present this and see if you guys would be open to the idea, and I will do additional research and present it to you. But 4,000 out of Woodsville County population is 8,200. Plus, I think Mr. Easter, during one of the, I don't know if he mentioned it or if it was just a passing comment to me, but he feels that our county of 8,200 population in county residents, he feels that right now the traffic and the added people in the county, he figures it's more like 25,000 a day. That's 3 times, almost more than 3 times what our resident population is. So, and If anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer. And the one question that I would like to ask of the people that are in the audience here that are present, and by a show of hands, how many of you are supportive of having the county commission pay for additional testing? So, just a count of
Everybody.
everyone. It's pretty much.
April can't, but everybody.
Yeah, April can, so it's everyone that's here, okay? So it's not just me. But like I said, I have serious concerns for the people in our community that do not have a voice. The children, some of the elderly, some people that just don't even have an awareness of what the potential dangers are. So,
What I would suggest is you put together what you think would satisfy you.
actually, Mr. Robinson, with all due respect, I am not going to put together what I feel would satisfy me. I'm going to put together what recognized scientists and people that know are a lot more knowledgeable about this than I am. I will put that together. And I know just enough to be dangerous, but I am not an expert in this field. I've done a lot of reading about it, and I just feel our community is at risk.
What I was in the process of saying was put it together with the cost, and I'm more than willing to consider it. I can't speak for either of the other
I'm
county
willing
commissioners.
to consider any proposal you give us.
I will try to do my best to have something to you by the next county commission meeting.
Okay, we'll have you on the agenda, okay?
Okay.
Clerk, can you put it on the agenda, please?
Yes.
And that would be at 6 p.m.?
Yes, it will. It will.
Okay, if someone wants to ask a question before I sit down, if it's in reference to this, can she speak?
Something that I had mentioned before about having Northwest and Antero and EQT and whoever to help with their engineers and so forth. We only need to do this because they have brought their industry here. They are making billions of dollars on our backs. So how about we present to them and say this is this is minute to them.
Okay.
I talked to somebody from the telephone company when he was repairing my phone. But anyway, and he said they were putting in pipeline. They didn't even call the phone company to say they were doing it. They just chopped the line. And when the phone company got call after call that morning that they paid my lines out, they went to talk to them and they said, we can't be bothered with that. We'll pay the consequences, we'll pay the fees, we have all this equipment, we gotta keep moving.
Right.
Then finally, it took them like 2 weeks to repair the phones and and they did it again. Right after they got all these people back online, they did it again and said, same business. Give us a fine, tell us what we need to pay, we have to keep moving. I guarantee you, 4,000, 8,000, however many times a year you want to do the $4,000 check. It's like waste money to them.
Yeah.
They wouldn't care.
I have,
So please approach them.
Johnette, the other thing that I forgot to mention, unbeknownst to me, the storage capacity that the water plant has right now is about 2 days. They have 5 tanks, excuse me, could you please? They have 5 tanks that they store water in. Currently, 1 is down for repair. So the available clean water right now is 2 days. And they process 190,000 gallons per day through that plant. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. But a 2-day fresh water supply, if something happens to the water thing, we're going to be in the same situation as Charleston was earlier this year. So thank you very much
Thank
for allowing me to speak.
Thank you.